Hello there, everyone. I wanted to talk to you today about the concept of boundaries. Specifically, about how boundaries can make us kinder and more loving people. The Oxford Online English Dictionary defines the word boundary as a line which marks the limits of an area, a dividing line. It is this definition, the idea of a dividing line, which serves to underscore why a good many of us have issues with boundaries. The many of us I refer to are those of us who are kind. This is not to say that every kind person has issues with boundaries, nor does it imply that only kind people have issues with boundaries. I prepared this video as a means of supporting and helping to heal kind persons who lack boundaries. We must be the change we wish to see in the world, as Mahatma Gandhi so famously said. I'm speaking from personal experience, in that I too am a kind person, and I have had issues with boundaries almost my entire life. This has manifested in all sorts of ways, namely weight gain, anxiety, depression, and issues with money. I don't know if I got the numbers right. Anyway, it's manifested in lots of different things. The characteristic kind is not a label I have just given myself, but one that has been thrust upon me. In high school, I was voted as the person most likely to give you their last dollar. I don't think I need to go into any more examples after that. I think that provides a good enough example there, but suffice it to say, I came to a point in my life where I was metaphorically drained of my last dollar. As most know who are watching this video, since I am sending this out firstly to my friends and my family, you know that I am passionate about a lot of things, and I like to be vocal about these passions. The starkest example is when I took to social media to voice my frustrations with the nursing profession. When I did that, I started getting contacted by many people from all over the world. I began getting contacted at all hours of the day, and so as to kind of try and compartmentalize the issue that I was facing, which was in retrospect not the best thing for me to do, I actually created a separate Facebook account to add these strangers to. But these people weren't just asking me to be my friend. They were often asking me for much more than they should have been. They were overstepping boundaries with me. A stranger that lived halfway across the world. I had one man from Kenya ask me for money to fund his education. I had another man from Kenya ask me for money to help jumpstart his political career. I had a young girl from Jamaica ask me for help in helping her transition to come to live in Canada. I had countless people reaching out to me, hoping to establish a romantic connection with me. In all these cases, I outright refused their requests. In as kind a way as I could, I refused to give them my time and my resources. But despite my refusals, many of them persisted, and I had a hard time cutting off contact with these people who reached out to me. I just didn't think that was kind. Even as I ignored, muted, blocked, what have you, I would be riddled with guilt and would complain to the nearest friend or family member that was close by about what I was going through. My feelings of guilt, resentment, shame, and anger were what I had to pay, were the price that I had to pay. I didn't have to pay out any money. It was those feelings when I didn't assert my boundaries. Eventually, I took it upon myself to figure out how to assert better boundaries to avoid these feelings because I was tired of them. Been dealing with them more or less my entire life, and they were exacerbated by this situation. So I did a search online, and in my search, I stumbled upon the work of Randy Buckley. I found her website, where it includes some work that she's done trying to explain why kind people have issues with boundaries. She is, among other things, a life coach, and her insights were life-changing for me. I know she offers courses and, those kinds of things for people who have issues with boundaries. And I encourage anyone that would feel they would benefit from that to go and look up her website. And I'll link it in the description. One of her many insights that she shared that really resonated with me was this idea that kind people have issues with boundaries because they don't feel that they are kind. It's the idea of enforcing boundaries with anyone that just doesn't sit right with us. Why did I think that boundaries weren't kind? I'm going to share my reasons why, my perspective, in hopes that this will resonate with some of you that are facing a similar issues. For me, I blame my idealism and unwavering faith in people. I believe people are inherently good, and the idea of shutting out anyone because they are not good enough, call them a scammer, a con, a user, a cheat, pick your insulting descriptor, just didn't seem right to me. But it's not as simple as putting people into one of two groups, good or bad. Good people do bad things, and vice versa. But we can't deny that there are people out there that do things that hurt us. For example, scamming is a real thing. You don't need to watch Dr. Phil to know that it's a real thing. People get scammed all the time. People get cheated on. People get lied to. People get used all the time. Just as there are givers in the world, there are takers. The takers are enabled by the givers who don't set limits. I've come to realize it is not my responsibility to condemn them, nor should it be my burden to allow myself to be used by them. I can try to educate them, which I often do, which I will often try, but if my words fall on deaf ears, I need to be able to move on. More often than not now, I will try to redirect someone who oversteps boundaries to something, someplace, someone more appropriate for them, whether it's a psychologist, counselor, teacher, what have you. But the days where I'm allowing myself to be taken advantage of and bear the full burden of helping people, those days are gone. I can't do it all by myself. The days are gone where I tolerate not being respected. I can't neglect love. I can't refuse. I refused to allow myself to be not cared for, not loved. I refuse to keep strong connections with people who don't respect my boundaries. And there's a cost to this. There's a cost to maintaining connections with people who don't respect your boundaries. It does both parties involved a disservice. My search brought me to a video featuring an in-depth conversation between Miss Buckley and Morgana Ray. I'm going to link that video in the description as well. In that video, it is explained that feelings of resentment, overwhelm, being taken advantage of, and not feeling appreciated are all telltale signs of someone who does not assert his or her boundaries with other people. Likewise, the person who oversteps boundaries is at a disadvantage too. When others don't assert their boundaries, the boundary transgressor, the one who's doing something that they shouldn't be doing, the one that the other person is pissed off with, sees no reason to change his or her behaviors. Unhealthy thoughts and behaviors are enabled by not being challenged. These same individuals, in my mind, are stunted mentally and emotionally when appropriate boundaries are not enforced by other people. It would seem then that when we don't assert appropriate boundaries, we are being neither loving nor kind. I hope this video has helped those of you who have struggled with boundary issues throughout your life. I really think we can change the world if people, in particular those who are kind, stood up for themselves. I really think we can lead by example, and I think we can make a change. I encourage you all to look up Miss Buckley's work and claim the life you deserve if you're not living it already. Thanks very much for listening. Bye.